Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. If you are a Florida Gator fan and you have Lane Kiffin as your number one choice to take over this program, of which I know most Florida fans certainly do, you are waking up Thursday morning and you're feeling pretty damn good. Now, look, I ain't trying to get up here and act like I'm an insider because y'all know I ain't, and I ain't going to pretend like I am. Listen to the buzz coming out of Florida. The optimism seems pretty damn high. You go over and listen to the buzz over there at LSU. I don't even think they got a damn clue in terms of what direction they want to go. I'll say this. This is a really important conversation to get into. When that LSU job came open, there was a lot of people that figured, hey, if LSU wants Lane Kiffin, they're getting Lane Kiffin over Florida. Like, I'm sitting here right now, I am not sure if I agree with that sentiment. Now, look, is there an argument to be made that LSU is a better job than Florida? Yeah, you could make that argument. In fact, I might make that argument at certain points during these two programs' last 20 years. Right now, going into the offseason of 2025, let's compare Florida and LSU real quick. The most important thing that I will point out is there seems to be a lot of alignment in terms of this Florida Gator head coaching search. I go over and look at LSU and I read the message boards and I hear what's going on. Like, number one, the athletic director situation's all over the place. They fire the one athletic director. They bring in another, but they're not sure if he's going to be the long-term answer as an athletic director. You have the governor trying to get involved in the head coaching search as well. That stuff matters. In this era of the sport, that stuff matters. Having your administration, your boosters, your donors aligned, that stuff matters a whole heck of a lot more than it mattered 15 years ago. And I look at Florida, and then I compare that to LSU and say, feel like Florida's got a little bit more of their crap together, so to speak, than what's happening over there at LSU, which makes Florida a little bit more of an attractive opportunity. How about the second part? What roster would you rather inherit? Right? If you're Lane Kiffin and you're saying, all right, if I'm going to leave Ole Miss and I'm choosing between Florida and LSU, which I think are comfortably the two best jobs that are open on the market, what roster do you feel more good about inheriting? Because I'll say this, winning early as a new head coach, like that also matters a heck of a lot more than it mattered 10 to 15 years ago. You want to make sure you inherit a situation where you can hit the ground running, right? LSU's roster, although I like it, it's a lot of one and done transfer portal additions. Like that roster is going to look a hell of a lot different in 2026 than it does right now in 2025. And then I look at Florida and say, holy smokes, the amount of year one, year two, year three talent that's going to be back on this roster if you can retain them in 2026, heck of a lot more attractive. That's one of the reasons why I like Lane Kiffin for Florida, man. Like, I feel like Lane Kiffin comes to Florida, would be surprised if you see a lot of names enter the transfer portal from that roster. I feel like Lane Kiffin's a guy that can come in, kind of keep this roster intact, or not necessarily intact, but keep kind of steady the ship, you might say, if Lane Kiffin comes in versus a guy like Coach Drink, right? Last thing, and I'll just say this, and this is just a gut feeling before we get a little bit more nitty gritty. Like, what's it say in your gut when you close your eyes? And look, I ain't got no dog in the fight. I'm a Michigan fan. When I close my eyes and I envision what colors and what sideline I could see Lane Kiffin coaching at, I don't think you can answer the better fits at LSU. Like, he feels like a really good fit running this Florida program as well. And it sounds like the optimism might be growing. We'll see how it plays out. Now, what I want to get into a little bit more is let's talk about what it would look like if Lane Kiffin comes to Florida, but I also want to talk about some other coaches that are generating some buzz as well. Before we get into it, as always, to the Florida fans, hey, let it fly in the comments section. Those are some of my initial thoughts. And I think I should also note this. Coach Drink has been kind of, it was like Lane Kiffin 1, Coach Drink 2. And I know there's a lot of Florida fans that are pretty anti-Coach Drink, which I disagree with. I think Coach Drink would be a damn good hire, but it sounds like it's heating up with Coach Drink to Penn State, maybe, reading through the tea leaves. All right. I want to get into Lane Kiffin, what it might look like at Florida before we do. And as always, to Florida fans, appreciate you guys. Like, many of y'all have been rocking with the boys during the Billy Napier era. And I'll tell you this, whoever becomes the new head coach at Florida, we're going to have a lot to talk about during this off season. We appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, what it would look like with Lane Kiffin. The most interesting conversation, we had this conversation the other day, is what happens with DJ Lagway. Does Lane Kiffin, if Lane Kiffin takes this job, does he come to Florida and say, I think I can fix DJ Lagway? Or does he want to go in a different direction? Because I'll say this, you get Lane Kiffin at Florida, there's going to be a lot of quality quarterback options that you have. Number one is DJ Lagway, and say, hey, Lane Kiffin feels like I can get the best out of DJ Lagway. And if Lane Kiffin feels that way, and if Lane Kiffin does that in 2026, we all know what DJ Lagway's capable of. He also could bring over Austin Simmons, who was once actually committed to Florida. I'm sure many Florida fans know that, and bring him over to Gainesville. And I know Lane Kiffin likes Austin Simmons a heck of a lot. What if Lane Kiffin says, hey, I'll just go to the portal? Like, there will be a line out the freaking door to go play quarterback. Lane Kiffin just took a Division II transfer in Trinidad Chambliss, brought him from Ferris State to Ole Miss in the SEC. Trinidad Chambliss is going to be an NFL draft pick. Trinidad Chambliss might make it to New York State as a Heisman candidate. If you're a quarterback looking for another program to play for, you're looking at Lane Kiffin and say what he did with Trinidad, what he did with Jackson Dart before. Really good situation, especially if you keep Vernell Brown and Dallas Wilson in the fold as well. The quarterback situation, if Lane Kiffin comes to Florida, would be fascinating. I would also be interested in terms of the coaching staff that he brings over, because I'll say this, I'm a big fan of Pete Golding. Pete Golding trotted out one of the best defenses in the country in 2024. He's doing a dang good job in 2025 with not a lot of talent like that. That Ole Miss defense this year might have two NFL draft picks. Like what could Pete Golding do? The guy like Jaden Woods and a guy like Miles Graham and all the young talent that Florida has compiled on the defensive side of the football. And then I think lastly, how much roster turnover do we get? I think there'd be a fair amount, not necessarily with the glue guys that Florida has, but I think there'd be a lot of guys that probably are going to be non-factors for Florida over the next couple of years. They probably leave because guess what? Lane Kiffin, we know one thing. He's willing to get aggressive in the portal, but number two, he's really damn good at it. Like, that's the reason why I'm such a big Lane Kiffin to Florida guy, is in this era of the sport, he's fully embraced how to build this roster, and he's good at it. There are a lot of programs. Mike Norvell is probably the best example. Mike Norvell wants to be Lane Kiffin. And Mike Norvell goes and grabs 20 to 30 to maybe even 40 guys in the transfer portal every single offseason. Doesn't hit the way Lane Kiffin hits. Like, Lane Kiffin's ability to evaluate portal additions, bring them in, and get the best out of them in this conference, it's a hard thing to do when you're in the SEC. It's really hard to figure out, hey, what guys are going to translate to this conference and which aren't. Lane Kiffin damn good at it. You'll see a lot of portal additions too. You make no mistake about it. All right, other coaches that getting some buzz, and we have to talk about it, right? Lincoln Riley. I don't personally think Lincoln Riley's going to leave, and I don't even know if I'd like it for Florida all that much. Look, there are things you like about Lincoln Riley, and that is if you grab Lincoln Riley, you go and score and you're going to have good quarterback play, right? Ain't no question about that. I still feel like Lincoln Riley needs to prove to us that he can win in the Big Ten/SEC. Like, it's one thing to go win in the Big 12 at Oklahoma when you have more talent than just about everybody and you got the better quarterback than just about everybody. Lincoln Riley had a lot of success at Oklahoma in the Big 12 and had a lot of success with USC in the Pac-12 too. But when it got to the Big 10, Lincoln Riley has not shown us he's willing to build the lines of scrimmage the way you need to win at the highest level of the Big 10 yet. Now, he's trying to, and I think they're on their way to doing it. But before I hire Lincoln Riley, I'd want to know he can do that. Because guess what? It ain't going to get any easier in the SEC. You want to win games in this conference, you have to have good line of scrimmage play. Having a good quarterback can win you some games. It cannot win SEC championships, and you make no mistake about it. With this hire Florida's trying to make, it's with the SEC championship in mind, national championship in mind. The buyout's also ridiculous, right? The other name that's kind of new, Brian Hartline. And again, I don't look. If you were to ask me my top three candidates for Florida, it is Lane Kiffin comfortably number one, Jeff Brom number two. Love Jeff Brom. Number three, Coach Drink. What would it look like with Brian Hartline? If you want me to sell Brian Hartline on 90 seconds, it's one, he will recruit the heck out of the state. He's done that at Ohio State. Like they come down into Florida, Carnell Tate at IMG Academy, Jeremiah Smith down there in South Florida. He will recruit the piss out of the state. That's important when you want to win at Florida. And concern is, does he look like as a head coach? It's a very similar to the Dan Lanning conversation. Now, why did Dan Lanning make it work at Oregon? Because he hired really well around him. Will Stein and Kenny Dillingham and Tosh Lupo. Here's the thing with Brian Hartline. You don't have to pay him $11.5 million like you'll likely have to pay Lane Kiffin. Probably pay him 6, maybe 7, maybe 8, right? Which gives you some funny money to build a really good staff around Brian Hartline. And if Brian Hartline gets the coordinator hires right, takes the CEO approach, and recruits really well, there's an avenue for Brian Hartline to have a lot of success. And I get that hiring a coach that has no head coaching experience, it is a risk. Oregon knew they were taking on a risk when they grabbed Dan Lanning, but they knew there was some real upside. Brian Hartline supplies that upside too. The other thing I like about Brian Hartline, similar to why I like Lane Kiffin, maybe less of so, or some reasons I don't like Coach Drink or Jeff Brom, is I love to hire coaches that have been a part of really successful dynasty-like programs. Like Lane Kiffin's been a part of Nick Saban's staff. Brian Hartline has been a part of Urban Meyer in the early days and now all of Ryan Day's tenure. He has seen it. He has been a key cog in it, and he has felt it. He knows what it looks like to run a program that competes for national championships every single year. He knows how to do it because he's seen it. That makes Brian Hartline attractive to me. Again, big risk. Maybe would like to get a little bit more of a proven coach. There are things to like about Brian Hartline, and you've seen some buzz. And then the last one, Jedd Fisch. Again, I don't know if I love it. He's having a lot of say. I mean, completely turned around Arizona, and it's really hard to win at Arizona. Then came to Washington. People act like he took over a program that just competed for national championship. And look, on paper, that's true, right? He took over for Kalen DeBoer that made a run to the national championship. The cupboards were bare, man. I mean, they had so many guys leave to the NFL. The rest of the good players on Washington, Kalen DeBoer, dang near took all of them to Alabama. He came up to Washington with not a lot, right? And had some success year one, is having a ton. Look, Washington's probably going to finish with a 9-3 record. They're going to be a 9-2 football team, very likely playing Oregon at home at the end of the year. They're going to have a chance to make the college football playoffs. He's done really good job at Washington, and bring Jedd Fisch. There's a ton of young talent on that football team that probably comes with him to Florida. Jedd Fisch is not in my top 5. I don't think I'm as out on Jedd Fisch as I was a couple weeks ago. We'll see how it plays out. Again, to me, Lane Kiffin, the what we just mapped out, very, very intriguing. We'll cut it there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.